Stepping into this long-simmering land dispute was Reies Lopez Tijeria. Born in Texas during the 1920s, he was the son of migrant workers. After a prophetic dream about injustice in New Mexico, Tijeria decided to learn treaty law. He was convinced that he could reclaim the Tierra Amarilla grant.
Although we are fighting for land, we are fighting for the survival and protection of our culture. To the extent that we feel that to rape the culture and the
Some who disagreed with Tijeria thought he was an opportunist, looking for personal power.
That's just the way we will fight.
What you're really saying, in effect, is that you own this land, you want everybody else to get off of it, or if they want to stay on it, to submit to your regulations.
No, to the regulations of the town councils, which are covered and protected by the Constitution of New Mexico, Article 2, Section 5, and by the Constitution of the United States, Article 12, Section 2, where it states that all the treaties made by the United States government are the supreme law of the land.
The people of northern New Mexico lived as tenants on land that once was theirs. In 1965, the Forest Service revoked half the grazing permits for small farmers, pushing them to the point of desperation. There was need for someone who could express their frustrations. When Tijeria, a former fundamentalist preacher, came along, he sounded like the Messiah himself.
We are now waiting an answer from the State Department to claim what belongs to us.
He was speaking the magic words. The issue, the struggle, had been alive for all these generations. And here was a man on a white horse, a man with tremendous charisma, who plugged in to a deep felt passion, more than a feeling of passion. And he turned the spirits on.
Tijeria's mission brought him face to face with northern New Mexico's district attorney, Alfonso Sanchez.
At that point is where he started saying that the object of his corporation was to take over properties that the Alianza claims belongs to them by force, if necessary, blah, blah, blah. And I looked at him straight in the eye and I said, Reyes, if you intend to do what you tell me that this corporation's going to do, it is illegal. And right now I'm telling you that if you do what you say you're going to do, I'm the one that's going to stop you.
Que la prisión trajo cambio y trajo
In the spring of 1967, Tijeria faced federal charges for his role in the occupation of Carson National Forest. Tensions in northern New Mexico were escalating. Forest Service fences were cut. Haystacks and barns were torched. The Alianza was blamed.
I think that the action of Tijeria is matched by an equally violent reaction. For instance, I've had several ranchers come into my office and swear that they're going to kill someone.
When Tijeria announced plans for a meeting to plot the Alianza's next move, Sanchez was convinced the group was preparing a showdown to reclaim the land. The district attorney decided to stop the meeting.
I explained, if you meet and your object is to plan how you're going to take over property that doesn't belong to you, the Alianza, or Tijeria, or anybody other than the rightful owners, then it is an unlawful assembly, and I will prosecute you and file criminal charges against each one of you if later on it turns out that that's what you're going to do.
So his excuses that we were communists and trying to take over the land, he confiscated files and blocked the roads and threatened the people. Anybody going to that convention would be arrested.
This was getting out of hand. What if Tijeria were just a little bit successful? There were land grants all over New Mexico. And I think it was a real economic threat.
Sanchez called for the arrest of Alianza leaders, but Tijeria got away. Those who were arrested would face charges at a hearing to be held the following Monday, June 5th, at Tierra Amarilla. It would be a day long remembered by New Mexicans.
We don't believe in violence, but we believe in Jesus Christ, who used a whip to drive out the false preachers out of the temple. And I think that's all we did in the courthouse of Tierra Amarilla. We just used a little whip.
Tijeria and a group of armed men stormed the courthouse. They were there, they said, to make a citizen's arrest of District Attorney Sanchez for violating their right to assembly. When gunfire began, Sheriff Benny Naranjo was inside the courthouse.
My jailer ran into the hallway and he says, "Get the hell out of here, Benny. Get out of here." And he jumped out the window. Then they shot him outside the window. And I went to the window and they started shooting at me, and then they started shooting at me through the door off the hallway, so I laid down on the floor. But I heard them, that they kept saying, "Reies said not to hurt nobody, that all we want is Alfonso Sanchez."
Sanchez was nowhere to be found.
Had I been there, I guess those 100 bullet holes I wouldn't be here.
A state patrolman and the jailer were shot and seriously wounded. Two others, a reporter and a deputy sheriff, were held captive all afternoon.
My understanding is that Reies had tried to kind of calm down what turned to be an assault, and he wasn't able to. Because what he did, he just offered a vision to some people who were ready to fight.
The governor's office called in the National Guard. Revolution, it seemed, had come to northern New Mexico.
It was like Emiliano Zapata and Pancho Villa were alive again. And they had gone and had claimed their land again. It was like wildfire in the movement when we heard about it. We heard it like that.
Among land-grant people, there was kind of a victorious sense that finally, you know, our cause is out in the open, and finally, maybe we can galvanize the nation, such as the African-American movement has done.
Some Mexican Americans were alarmed by the violence that had taken place. But Tijeria's actions fired the imagination of movement activists and inspired a corrido, a traditional ballad commemorating the event.
It was at the county courthouse, hamlet of Tierra Amarilla, June 5th, 1967, the county of Rio Arriba, a number of our race.
After 10 days on the run, Tijeria turned himself in. He now faced state criminal charges.